next we have Frostr. Come on up.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, so we made a project called Frostr, not to be confused with the other project called Frostr on GitHub. We sort of took the name because it's really cool and the other project looked abandoned. So, and ours, I think, is way better, and it works. So what Frostr is a simple T of N remote signing and key rotation scheme using the powers of Frost. And we do this with two signing devices that we're going to get into, a signing device for the web and a signing device for your desktop. And they communicate with each other to do the Frost signing. So really quick, some problems that we have with on-chain multi-sig. So when you do multi-sig on Bitcoin, use Bitcoin script, and it works, but it has some issues. So one issue is if a key is compromised, you have, let's say you have like a 2 of 3, right? If one of those keys is compromised and you need to replace that key, you have to redo the entire multi-sig. So that means that you have to use the other 2 keys to spend the money, sweep the funds, move it to a new address. You also have to publish all of that data on-chain, which means it costs you money. It's just not a good time. So these are a lot of pain points with multi-sig as it stands today. And so how does Frost fix this? Well, this is the benefit of Frost. So when you use Frost for multi-sig, what you get in return is a single signature. So there's really no data that you need to put on-chain besides that signature. And that signature doesn't say anything about who's participating, what keys are involved. So you have a lot of privacy with Frost. Also, if you lose one of your keys and you need to update those keys, you can actually do that without moving your money. So there are ways that you can replace and update keys within a Frost multi-sig without actually changing the key or the address where the money is stored. So that's really fantastic. That's like a huge pain point for a lot of people when they're doing multi-sig, is if they lose a key, they have to go through this whole process of having to move the funds and replace all the keys. And so this is the benefit of using Frost on Bitcoin. But what we're presenting is a benefit of using Frost on Nostr. And there's a little error in my slide here. That's supposed to be 2 slides, so we're looking a little ahead to the future right now. But the benefit on Frost and Nostr is you can have a secret key. Like your secret key is essentially your identity on Nostr. So one of the benefits of using Frost is you can bring your secret key. You can use Frost to break it up into multiple shares. These are the keys that you can distribute for your multi-sig. And what's great about that is if one of those shares is compromised, your secret key is still safe. Because if you're doing a 2 of 3 and one of those shares get compromised, well, the attacker still needs an additional share or an additional key from your Frost key in order to actually get your secret key. So it keeps your secret key safe if one share is compromised. And if that share needs to be replaced, let's say you lose a device or something, and I had this happen to me. I had Nostr on my phone, and I lost my phone. Thankfully, I got it back, but had I not lost my phone, my identity would have been compromised. And there's really no good way to deal with that on Nostr. If your identity is burned, it's burned, and then you have to go through the trouble of letting everybody know. It's like, here's my new phone number, make sure to call me on my new phone number. But with Frost, you don't have to deal with that. So you can actually replace keys that have been compromised without changing the Frost key, which would be your NPub. So your NPub can always stay the same, but you can rotate the keys underneath. And yeah, so how we are going to demonstrate this is with 3 projects that we've been working on. One is called Bifrost. So this is the actual cryptography library. It's implemented in TypeScript and it's multi-platform, and I just published it this morning. So that's free, open source, feel free to use it. We also have a desktop application called Igloo. This is an Electron app. It uses, it basically lets you generate your Frost keys rotate your Frost keys. It also acts as a remote signing device. So the final piece of this puzzle is the browser extension. So we forked an existing extension that was made by Fiat Joff. It's called Nostr2x. It's a little Chrome extension that you use to sign things in Nostr. So we forked that, we added Frost to it, and we set it up so that it will reach out to Igloo to get that second signature. So anytime you do anything in Nostr, you'll get those two signatures, one from your extension, one from Igloo, and that will complete the 2 of 3, and that'll allow you to publish a node.
And one important thing with this is that the UX,
So the UX will be exactly the same from the user's perspective when you're using this extension. You want to sign a note, you click the button, you wait a few seconds, it's signed. But really in the background, Frost2x is talking to another remote signer, partially signing it, passing it to that remote signer. So yeah.
Yeah, so that pretty much is how it works. Website makes a request to the extension. The extension will partially sign the note, then send it to the remote signer. The remote signer will finish the signature, send it back, and it's delivered to the website. The website has no idea what took place. So we use Igloo to generate a set of Frost shares from your private key, and then it gives those shares back to you. You can load one of them into the remote signer. You can load another one into the extension, and you can store the third one as a recovery key. And yeah, if you ever lose a key and you need to rotate them, you just collect 2 other shares, drag and drop into Igloo, click rotate, you get new shares, and it's just the same as this. You just basically go through this step again. So we didn't get a chance to finish everything, so I want to just go over what works and what still needs to be implemented. So the Frost library is complete, and it works 100%. We have unit tests for everything, end-to-end tests, including tests with Bitcoin Core, so we can broadcast. Oh yeah, by the way, this is a Frost library that works with Bitcoin Taproot. I forgot to mention that, but it works with Bitcoin Taproot. So all of that works. Igloo will generate shares for you, so we have the desktop application working. It has a really nice interface, courtesy of this gentleman. We'll show that off real quick. But that works, the extension works, and yeah, we'll sign, it'll communicate to the remote server, get a second signature, finalize, send it back. So it does all that. But what is unfinished? So the process itself needs to be debugged. So the signatures are coming back invalid. We had to do some changes in order to distribute the shares and give you a good user experience and when you're exporting these shares and importing it into your signing devices. So something about that broke the signing, and we just didn't have any time to debug it. So the whole process works, it's just you get an invalid signature, so it won't be a publishable note. And we still need to implement key rotation in Igloo. So we can generate the shares, but we can't, we don't have the rotation set up yet. Also, we need to add other signing methods. So signing a Bitcoin transaction is easy enough, but signing a PSBT is something that we want to implement in the future. Also, elliptic curve Diffie-Hellman is something that's not really talked about when it comes to Frost, but we need to figure out how that works too, because Nostr relies on this in order to do encryption. So we still need to implement that as well. But yeah, I guess after this, we're going to do a demo, just really quick, of what we have. And we'll get back to making self-custody great again. So let's go to the demo. So this is the actual repository. In fact, if I can pull it up real quick. Oh, that's something else. Actually, no, let me set this up and I'll give it over to you. And you can show off Igloo.
This is weird. Oh, okay. Cool. Well, here's the desktop client we have. It's called Igloo. It is all of this code is on GitHub. It's made with Electron. You can see the code in the background here. And so it's just very minimal functionality right now, but we can first of all generate a key set, and it will actually be saved to files to my desktop there, and they'll be labeled. And it takes a second to do that generation. There we go. And then just very simply, once I have these key set files, I can do whatever I want with them, encrypt them. I just need to pull it into the remote signer to act as a signer. So I should be able to find, like, yeah, share to igloo.json right here. And put that in, and then we see that the remote signer is running. And I have no internet, so I can't show you that. But here's an IP address and a port, so that's pretty convincing.
So, really quick, because I know we're out of time. Come back. There it goes. So this is Frost2x. If you use Nos2x, you're kind of familiar with this beautiful interface that you get when you use the signer. So we hacked it to use Frost. So basically, when you use Igloo to generate these shares, they're going to be encoded with Bec32. And you just copy paste it into the signer here, and then it decodes it for you just to kind of show you the information on the on your Frost signing key, and it keeps going in and out. Yeah. So that's what it looks like, and we try to keep this as simple as possible. So all you really do is just import it into here, and then Nos2x will work just as normal. So there's that, and then also this is the repository for Frost2x that we forked. And another thing that we did is we implemented a remote signing device here that we can spin up, which I think is just like dev should spin it up, and that will spin that up. And so that's listening in the background. We have it set up to communicate with our remote signer. And so now if we were to go to Coracle, for example, and say we want to publish a note, actually let me just really quick refresh this. So it looks broken. Oh, I don't have internet. That's right. How do I demo this when we don't have internet?
Should be internet. It's GT Visitor.
GTPS.
Oh, I see, GT Visitor. I'm connected. Does it not like my VPN? Do I have to go through a portal?
Yeah, I think we're coming up on time, guys.
Okay. Well, come find us after this and we can do a demo for you in person.
Just a real quick couple questions. Do you have any questions?
So do you delete the previous shares when you rotate them out? Like, so what's the idea there? Like, because it's possible that one share is compromised and a previous old share is also compromised, and then you lose your funds. So
Yeah, so when you're rotating keys in Frost, you have to discard the old keys. Because the old keys don't get invalidated. So, and you have no reason to keep them. Once you have the new keys, you don't need the old keys anymore, so you have to throw them away. Because if they do get compromised, if an attacker gets 2 of 3, then they can essentially use your key.
And then just for the record, what did you make, Austin, and then Topher, what did you make, and how long did you guys, how long did it take to put this together?
I just worked on Igloo, the desktop client. I started 2 days ago.
So I worked on the Frost2x extension, and I worked on the library. The library is something that I had for a while, but I refactored a lot of the code just to make it production ready. And then I also did the extension. And I started on this like maybe 4 or 5 days ago.
So if I can get the flow.
So we get the okay. Dead battery.
You want this one?
Okay, so you use Igloo, and then you cut and paste that into Frostr. Is that the method
Yeah.
to get your keys in?
Yeah, so Igloo will like output the three shares that are your files and potentially a full backup. Like there's a lot of security considerations that we need to think about for this, but at first it's just simple UX. Here's your 3 shares, take this one to this place, etc.
Yeah, and you just load it into the extension.
And how are you communicating with the remote signer?
It's just HTTP requests, nothing fancy.
And one thing that like, because the Frost UX is going to partially sign the note, that actually acts as an authentication for the server, kind of in one. So you can tell with perfectly basically if something is valid or not if you're signing.
Yeah, each share is in a sense its own key pair, so you can use that for authentication.
So did you guys solve the key rotation problem for Nostr?
I think this is it. I mean, I don't see how you get any better than this. You get to keep your npub. You can rotate shares. It doesn't change. It's pretty easy to use. Like you can make it so that Frost is invisible. Like the user doesn't even know what's going on. But you get all these additional security benefits. Yeah, I think this does it.
Right on.
Till Web 5 is ready. Right.
All right, we're out of time for.
Thank you.